A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z.
Hey, welcome everybody. This is Cut the Chit Chat. I'm Jake Moss.
And I'm Nathan Labonte.
And we're here, damned, to dive into the filmographies of Nicolas Cage for the rest of eternity. Still getting wet in the deepest of waters of one of the most criticized careers in Hollywood, all to answer the question,
why is Nicolas Cage? We kind of hit it for the first few episodes, but I think we can't hide it any longer.
I'm literally in hell. And I'm praying to whatever God is listening that we find an answer to this question soon, because I think that's my only way out.
I agree with you. There's just, it's a hellish landscape that we found ourselves in, and today's film,
Frankly, it's appropriate.
it's very appropriate.
We're coming to you from the fourth level of hell.
The very best one.
Anger.
Wrath.
Yes, sure.
Anger, wrath.
Paul Schrader's sitting beside me and nodding very sharply, which is good because we're actually here talking about his 2016 picture, Dog Eat Dog.
That's right. Paul Schrader has replaced the executives who usually sit by our side because this was a movie that was basically made without executives.
This is a favorite of mine.
Okay.
It's such a ballsy film.
I will give it that.
It's got so many balls.
I think we have to count, along with the number of episodes where Nick Cage does a voiceover, and this is a third. He does have a voiceover.
This is the third movie.
3 out of 4.
Out of 4 movies that we've done so far.
We also have to count the number of movies in which Nick Cage has sex.
I don't want to.
But we must.
I don't want to.
It's an important edict.
This is hell. Even hell should have limitations.
Just a running counter. This is 4 out of 4. Yeah, so Dog Eat Dog.
Directed by Paul Schrader.
Paul Schrader.
First Reformed was probably my favorite movie.
Ever?
It's probably my favorite movie of 2018.
Oh, mine too. Well, let's talk about Paul Schrader because he's a fascinating guy.
We're not wasting any time because we know Paul's time is valuable.
It is.
He's got to get back to those talent furies.
So Paul Schrader grew up in a super religious family, such that he didn't see a movie until
17,
which is insane.
To be honest, that might have been me. Like, I think my first movie was like 13. So
this is actually the first movie I've seen. Dog Eat Dog. Masterpiece. He was born in Michigan. His family was Calvinist, so they were super strict. He saw The Absent-Minded Professor. That was his first movie.
At 17.
And he says that he was, quote unquote, very unimpressed by it.
But he did say that seeing a film in the theater was a transformative experience.
Yeah. And he later saw a movie by Bresson in a theater. Paul Schrader has literally written the book on Ozu, Bresson, and Dreyer called Transcendental Style in Film.
Would you describe Dog Eat Dog as a transcendental film?
No.
I wouldn't either.
No. I read like a bit of a summary on transcendental style. It's basically a lot of fixed camera, very internalized emotions. Everything is played very straight, but there's always at least one moment in the film that breaks through and is some kind of cathartic moment where maybe the camera will move or one of the characters will break down or something. Schrader describes his approach to film as more intellectual than emotional because he didn't have that history, that nostalgia growing up with movies.
Yeah, it's pragmatic, which shouldn't surprise anyone because he seems like a very pragmatic guy, but one that's inspired by that kind of transcendental style that you were talking about.
Absolutely. And interestingly enough, he went to school and he minored in theology. Then he later went to the UCLA Film School where he earned his MA in film studies. He started out as a film critic, actually, which kind of informs his approach to film a little bit, I think.
He said something along the lines of, you can't be an artist in film and also be a critic.
Yeah.
Because it's the job of one to tear down another and deconstruct another.
Right, which I don't fully agree with that. I think the critic has a different job.
But it's an interesting perspective to kind of see it from.
For sure. And I think it's kind of interesting because he's following in the footsteps of the French New Wave, where people like Truffaut, they wrote for the French magazine Cahiers du Cinéma, and then he got into filmmaking after that. So he's kind of following in this European style of filmmaking. Paul Schrader said in an interview that he's a Christian who attends church every Sunday, which I think is kind of interesting.
You know what? I get it, because it wasn't really until I got really into David Lynch that I realized some of these directors that are exploring the kind of polarity of morality and of our existence and of these kind of spiritual journeys. There's a polarity in their work. I kind of see that same polarity in Paul Schrader's stuff, where his films explore these horrific circumstances to investigate what it means to come to terms with your morality.
Paul Schrader often focuses on the character called God's lonely man. So Taxi Driver especially is, you know, he wrote the story about Travis Bickle, who's this person who thinks that he's called for a greater purpose. And even though people hold up Travis Bickle as this kind of ideal character, Schrader and Scorsese both meant for him to be, you know, the scum of the street, essentially.
Yeah. It's not a redemption story by any means.
No, it's a fall into
condemnation
darkness
story.
And then going through his filmography real quick, he basically starts out by writing for Scorsese. He also writes for directors like Sidney Pollack, Brian De Palma, and John Flynn. So he starts out as this reliable writer, and then he gets his start with a movie called Blue Collar.
He is the archetype for the rebellious old Greek writer who just wants nothing to do with Hollywood and is just out here to fuck shit up and have fun while he's doing it.
That's
you know?
basically him. I've only seen 3 of his movies, I'll be honest. I'm not a Schrader expert by any means.
But we are fans.
Big fans. His 5th movie, Mishima, A Life in 4 Chapters, this is like a straight up masterpiece. His characters are often lonely individuals. They feel outcast from society. And Dog Eat Dog is kind of maybe not the apex of that, but it does fit into that motif very closely.
It's maybe his most literal interpretation of that.
Although First Reformed, which I gotta say, a favorite movie of mine, Ethan Hawke plays the same kind of character who feels like an outcast from his role. These are all people who have been failed by the institutions that are supposed to make the world a better place.
Fair enough.
Dog Eat Dog opens with Willem Dafoe watching television.
This is the best transition in the movie that we've done so far in this podcast, so let's just keep it going.
Yeah.
Can I just say, I love the magenta.
The pink it's so off-putting. But the guy on the television is talking about gun control, and he's talking to someone who's saying, basically, the more people who have guns, the better.
It's commentary.
It's a commentary, but I don't know if the movie agrees or disagrees. It has guns very centralized.
Does a commentary have to agree or disagree, though?
I'm not saying it has to agree or disagree. I'm just saying that
it's positing opinions.
It is, but is the movie following up with the opinions? That's the thing, because we do have shocking moments of gun violence.
Yeah.
And I guess you're right. The movie doesn't have to necessarily wag its finger and say gun violence is bad. I'm very mixed on this movie.
I'm also mixed, but I latch on to things.
Right. I will say I do think Dog Eat Dog is a better movie than Next.
Oh.
But
thank you.
It's also more interesting. I like a movie where I can find something to latch onto, some kind of idea.
There's a functional plot in this film.
Right. Well, that's a nice thought.
So we open with William Dafoe's chin.
We get this. We have the television. We pull out of the television, and it's just this sickly pink room.
It's the last kind of pink you'd want to see in someone's house.
Right, and you just wonder, like, what's this guy doing?
Yeah,
in this room?
He doesn't belong.
Yeah, and I think that the whole pink is Mad Dog. He's just out of prison, right?
Yeah,
and he's trying to adjust back to normal life, but it's such a weird and off-putting place to him. Which is why he takes refuge in the blue room, because the pink is just such like it makes him mad.
In a way, the pink is the real world, even though it's not.
Yeah.
But it's like already Schrader's washing away that institutionalized, sterilized version of how we see life to put ourselves in the pants, so to speak, of these ex-convicts.
You could just say mindset. I mean, you don't have to be put into pants necessarily.
Yeah, I don't know why I have this thing with getting into people's pants.
My journey with this movie is I saw it a few years ago. I saw Willem Dafoe. I saw Nicolas Cage. I thought, this looks great. I saw the first like 15 minutes and I just stopped. I had enough.
The opening scene, he actually describes it as a tone-setting alarm for the rest of the film.
Yeah, it is so off-putting, which we've said again and again, but I just can't describe how uncomfortable I feel watching this. He takes a big sniff of cocaine and then he puts his head back, and then you just see like an eye tattooed on his chin.
Which it's just dawned on me now, and amidst all the notes that I took on the film, a third eye is a beautiful picture of the fact that Mad Dog might be the only sane person in the society he exists within.
Well, maybe. That's an interesting thought.
We'll dive a little bit further into that as we get in. Because now that I've just thought that up, I'm going to have to break it. I'm going to have to break that down.
There are like those graphics of television. There's the phone rings. It's someone who's phoning about a cupcake project. And then Mad Dog answers the phone, and it's like someone who's doing a survey.
I've never related to any character by William Dafoe stronger than the way he answers the phone.
The person asks what he does. He's like, I'm a fishmonger. I cut fish.
I think that even though he is under the influence, I think that's a metaphor for him killing people.
Okay. Fair enough.
He's a convict,
because
you know?
he does bash the phone in because he gets annoyed, which I relate to that.
Listen,
a lot.
He does kind of gut Sheila later on. Oh, what? Oh,
wow, that was Sheila. So he goes into the blue room. Sheila comes home carrying groceries.
Sheila is the
I guess
breadwinner.
I don't think that's his daughter.
No. Why would he be making it with his daughter?
No, I mean Sheila's daughter.
Oh,
I don't think he's
no,
like the parent.
I think it's
a
love interest.
No, it's
he
kind of
talks
like
later on about his relationship with Sheila and how she just got him going, but also really knew how to push his buttons.
Yeah.
And as this scene posits very clearly,
and
she pushed the wrong buttons this time.
Sheila is kind of like, "What are you doing here? Get out!" And then Mad Dog's like, "Come on,
the
baby.
car's in the shop. I got to stick around." And after a little bit, he retreats back into his cocaine den.
Not before saying he's going to make her some short ribs.
Yes, fair enough.
Which feels like a bit of a double entendre.
Yeah, it does.
So he
retreats back into the den.
Does drugs, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, and then we hear a scream from Sheila.
Yeah, Sheila's like, "What?"
There's some long takes in this where it's cutting between
Decently
Sheila
long.
and the room and the TV, and like just we get a really good sense of the setting.
So Sheila has found that Mad Dog has been looking at pornography on her computer. And to quote Sheila,
I use this computer for 3 things.
I do my spreadsheets for church, I do my taxes, and I answer emails.
Also for the church.
Schrader will often have characters who are real hypocrites, and Sheila is a hypocrite. She says she does the spreadsheets for church, and yet she's like shacking up with Mad Dog.
Yeah, it's true.
Although, to be fair, she doesn't like the pornography, so she's a good woman.
It's the contradiction of that black and white.
Yeah.
Or some would say pink and blue.
Sheila's really annoying him.
Oh, she's a...
I
was going to say she was a bitch, but I wasn't...
She's not. She's just trying to do her thing.
Your daughter's trying to make cupcakes.
Yeah, it's funny because Mad Dog attacks her, and Sheila is so much more physically intimidating than he is. But then he pulls out his fish gutting knife.
Yep.
And he just slits her across the throat.
Yep.
This is where my issue begins. I don't know if Schrader is filming this with glee or not, because there's like very vibrant music playing. The shots are kind of showcasing this violence and just how crazy Mad Dog is. And it makes me really uncomfortable watching this part, especially. Just because of the filmmaking behind it.
Yeah, fair enough. They're not shying away from anything.
You see that blood splatter.
Yep.
So then he goes up. I find this even more disturbing. I'm like, ugh.
He latches onto her back and stabs her several times in the back on the ground, talking about how annoying she is. And then the daughter comes down after hearing the shouting. Mad Dog runs up the stairs and
pulls out a gun.
And then he takes a pillow and puts it on her head and shoots her a couple times.
It's really disturbing because she's under the covers. He puts the pillow down. He clicks the gun.
Yeah.
And then she starts like frantically moving right after that. And then he just shoots like 3 times. The sequence is really jarring and off-putting. First of all, it's setting Mad Dog up as a character beyond the point of redemption.
He's unstable.
Yeah. He does bad things. We aren't supposed to be rooting for him.
No. Which, might I just throw this out here, I began to contradict my initial feelings later on in the story when he seeks redemption. Interesting contrast there.
Schrader and co want you to be repulsed by him, basically.
Yeah.
Because we love Willem Dafoe. Most people love Willem Dafoe.
Love that face. I'd marry him if I could.
This is supposed to be darkly comic, according to Schrader.
Can I be honest with you?
Yeah.
I thought it was darkly comic.
I didn't find it that funny.
I understand where you're coming from, but
individual moments are funny. But I just
it's disturbing. I'm not disagreeing with you though. It's a disturbing, and it's not the only disturbing moment in the film.
Oh no. Yeah. Anyway, so we've got that first 5 minutes, which is a real, like you said, a tone setter.
I think Schrader kind of seeks to desensitize you.
Okay.
To put a better kind of perspective on what it is that these individuals are doing and what they've gone through. So kind of separate the action and the person. At the same time, sensitize you towards maybe the reasoning behind their action and the morality of that decision, because you never forget that they're criminals doing crime.
Right.
There's never a moment where you're like, this is Ocean's 11, but I guess they're bad guys. Like there's never a moment where it's cool.
No.
And that's that happens rarely, I would argue, in a movie about crime where you never forget that the characters you're empathizing with are the bad guys.
Right. So just a bit of history. Paul Schrader and Nick Cage made a movie called Dying of the Light in 2014.
Mm-hmm.
The studio basically wrestled it away from Schrader, recut it. Schrader and Cage have both disowned it. So Schrader wanted kind of a redemption for Nick Cage. He wanted to make amends in a way. So he got this script, which is written by
Edward Bunker, who starred in Reservoir Dogs,
right?
Amongst a bunch of other people that shouldn't have. I don't know.
And it's based on this book by ex-convict Matthew Wilder. So it's kind of an authentic look at things.
It's a very honest look. I'll say that much.
So Paul Schrader offered Nicolas Cage the role of Mad Dog, and Cage was like, "Nah, I want to play someone a little more straight-laced. I don't want to do the same thing over and over again." Yeah.
So because this would have been, well, I mean, first off, it was post. Next,
right?
Post Knowing, post Ghost Rider 1 and 2.
Honestly, post most of Nick Cage's
adaptation.
movies.
Yeah, like at this point he had the reputation of being the crazy guy, and Dog Eat Dog came out as the separation from his reputation.
Yeah, he plays like the straight guy in here.
Yeah,
and he got Willem Dafoe on by offering up $100,000 of his salary.
His own salary.
Amazing.
I guess. I mean. Good for Paul, I guess.
Right. Well, no. Nicolas Cage gave up his money.
No, that was Paul. It was Paul Schrader.
No,
that was Paul Schrader's salary.
He said having Nicolas Cage in your movie is a great bonus.
Yep. I sent you that quote.
No, I found it myself, you pleb. It's great because he's a recognizable face.
Yep. He's bankable.
He's bankable.
But he's costly.
Okay. Yeah. In this Guardian article, I'm quoting it. He says his solution was to ask Cage to give Dafoe $100,000 out of his own payment.
Damn. Okay.
Look at this.
Okay.
Do you know why we're doing this podcast? For me to own you over and over again.
And also for me to escape eternal damnation.
That's very true. So
let me out, please.
So Dafoe got attached. Paul Schrader was like, I don't want to work in that system anymore. He got final cut on the movie. He hired on a bunch of first timers for each of his department heads.
Which both of those things are crazy in their own right.
It's insane.
Hiring all your own staff, wild. Getting final cut.
It doesn't always happen.
Doesn't happen often.
It's easier in the indie world when you don't have like a big distributor. It wasn't like he just chose people off the street. And what's also cool is that most of the people he worked with on Dog Eat Dog, he carried forward into First Reformed.
And there is such a difference between the two where you really get a sense that whatever mistakes were made in Dog Eat Dog, the wrinkles were ironed out for First Reformed.
Absolutely. I think that one of my favorite crew members that he got on was cinematographer Alexander Dinan. Yes. He's done 3 movies. The first one is Dog Eat Dog.
The second one is
Franca, Chaos, and Creation. And First Reformed, which I think the cinematography in First Reformed is
beautiful.
Great.
Beautiful.
Cinematography in Dog Eat Dog is also excellent.
It's very beautiful. Really great use of light and contrast.
The whole point of this being Schrader wanted to fight back against the norm. He talks about how in terms of crime movies, there were the people who made the rules, the people who codified it, the people who broke the rules like Tarantino and all those postmodern crime movies. And now this is the generation that doesn't even know the rules exist.
Yeah.
So his ideation going into Dog Eat Dog was
build from the ground up again.
Right. Let's throw some paint at the wall.
Yeah.
And let's just kind of do what feels right. We're not going to stick to any rules.
And I love that.
It's fascinating. It's a very, very interesting way of making a movie.
Paul even quotes that some films are made to be remembered and to be incredible, and this was not one of them. So we hop into the voiceover.
I wrote this one down because it seems like a direct homage to A Clockwork Orange.
Yeah, I agree.
He says, there was me, Troy, there was Mad Dog.
It's black and white too.
And there was Diesel.
Yeah.
Yeah, the story behind the black and white is Paul Schrader was like, it's been a long time since they filmed a strip club scene in black and white. Let's shoot it in black and white to make it different from most other strip club scenes. Because you got
to make it different.
You got to make your strip club scene different. And I think it would have been really different if there had been no nude women in it. But hey, it's a normal strip club.
What base do you think the strippers are paid to go to? Just real quick.
A seventh. People are gonna have to really be in on this podcast to keep that joke running.
Fair enough. No gags. So already we've seen a part of Mad Dog's story. We kind of dive into the background of Diesel. Yeah. Kind of second in command.
Yeah, we get a flashback to prison where Mad Dog basically takes the fall for Troy. And then we also get a bit of a flashback, and we see how Diesel
was committed.
How he got arrested, and he was basically a fixer.
And then he gets caught after cops arrive early on a job.
Right.
Arrested.
I got to shout out Christopher Matthew Cook. He hasn't been in that many movies, but he left a huge impression on me in this one.
I thought his character was incredible.
He's one of the MVPs for me. I think he's like, you've got Willem Dafoe and Nicolas Cage, and then you've got this other guy that you don't really know about, but he stood out the most to me.
I agree. And even Troy, even Nick's character is really specific about saying, he's a really smart dude. He's not only this massive, imposing guy, but he had the brains to such a degree that in another universe, he's a lawyer.
Oh, he could have been a lawyer. Could have been anything.
I really liked Nick's kind of storytelling of how he was committed.
Oh, yes.
At the courtroom, and then when they finally pass the sentence, he loses it, grabs a gun from one of the standing police officers, makes a run for it. They shoot him in the leg as he's kind of descending the stairs, and he winds up kneeling, grasping his hands together in front of a massive Notre Dame style stained glass of, I'm assuming, Mary.
I think it might just be of Christ.
Okay. Either way, it's this beautiful security guards descending the stairs on either side. It's a really beautiful picture and very operatic.
So we go from that to the three of them sitting in the strip club. There's some kind of weird random fight that breaks out.
You already get the sense that like Diesel and Mad Dog specifically is a quick trigger.
Right.
And they have to
restrain him, basically.
Yeah, essentially, and take him out of the room. There's some references to Facebook.
Cage says, we were Facebook friends before there was a Facebook, which doesn't make any sense.
But in the context of the conversation, they're talking about Taylor Swift.
Yeah, they just start talking about like
pop culture.
Who's Taylor Swift?
They're just talking about pop culture. Schrader's setting the tone for, I feel like the I don't want to say misplaced sense of empathy, but this subverting the idea that these villains, these guys, have really been removed from a society, and now they're no longer understanding it, and they're trying to work through it. And the crime that they're committing is really the only language they understand.
It's also this notion of men out of time, because they all envision themselves as these kind of Hollywood era gangster types. And they try and fit into certain archetypes. But as the movie goes on, they break down
and deconstruct those archetypes.
And especially we'll talk about Nick Cage and his Bogart impression. But that's a very particular, like, he feels like a 40s noirish charmer.
Yeah, he's always wearing a suit and tie.
But he's definitely not that. He's just like a bad guy.
He's a bad lawyer. I think he was a lawyer originally, and he got caught.
Well, this is probably as good a time as any to talk about Paul Schrader and Taylor Swift. Very, very short tangent. Paul Schrader, on his 72nd birthday, went to a Taylor Swift concert, and I'll show you the picture again just so that you get a taste of what it is.
He's so awesome.
It's amazing.
So awesome.
He's like, I'm turning 72 years old. I go to a Taylor Swift concert.
So he's 72 or 77?
72.
Okay.
I loved Paul Schrader's voice. Yeah. But also in an interview, he talks about Taylor Swift in the most
glowing way possible,
the most rhapsodic way imaginable.
Yeah.
He writes on Facebook about Taylor Swift, let there be no doubt. She is the light that gives meaning to each, to all our lives, the Godhead who makes existence possible, and without whom we would wander forever in bleak, unimaginable darkness.
She comes up 2 more times in the film after the strip club scene. One's on the cover of the magazine, GQ magazine,
and then the other one, it's there's like a Taylor Swift lookalike contest at a strip club. So I'll be honest, I don't know if it has any kind of semiotic meaning or anything.
But that must have been what got him, translated him into. But I think Taylor Swift at the time was another language they just didn't understand.
She was a bigger item. She's kind of, I think, lost a bit of
that sheen.
Yes, with Reputation and so forth.
Paul might even agree to that. I don't know. Reputation was pretty poor.
But this isn't a Taylor Swift podcast.
You're right.
Thankfully.
That's tomorrow.
I like her music.
That's next
I'll
week.
leave it at that.
Yeah.
So a prostitute comes up and Nick Cage says, "It's time to grate it in the grinder." Which is probably the nastiest moment in the whole movie.
Yeah. But in the voiceover, kind of very disconnected to that, he talks about the influence the money has on his friendship and his kind of place in society. He talks about how he's always been the one to kind of look out for Mad Dog and Diesel financially. They've always had a place to kind of fall back on if they needed to. He doesn't look on that disparagingly, but he sees it kind of for what it is, and he sees it that it's something that's colored his relationship with his two friends.
Yeah, he's almost like a father figure in some ways.
And when that voiceover finishes, the prostitute pipes up and says, "So here's my bill, $1,400 for the night or whatever." And he says, "Oh, they've taken care of it." And she said, "No, they definitely haven't." And so he, in the moment, has to pull out a stack of bills and pay her right there and then. It's a great way to just kind of put a period on that.
Yeah, it's a good way to
reinforce it.
It's a good way to use irony through voiceovers.
Yeah.
So what happens contradicts what he said in a way.
Yeah, yeah.
And this is kind of like a purgatory where people who are awaiting judgment go.
Yeah,
and
the black and white is a beautiful motif. Yeah.
Yeah. And it also kind of shows that they can't survive like outside of their life in a proper way. Later on, they talk about how they don't want to work like a minimum wage job.
Yeah.
So this is where they spend their quote unquote time off from crime, because where else are they going to fit into society?
And it's a beautiful way to illustrate their relationship at the same time, because in this black and white limbo state, it doesn't matter really where the story's being told. It's just that it's being told. That Nicolas Cage is relaying the relationship between him, Diesel, and Mad Dog as kind of this out of time transitory story that really will never come to an end. It just will always exist as its own thing, regardless of what will most definitely happen in the future.
So this movie breaks down into very distinguished scenes or sequences.
Yeah.
So the next sequence is the first
The Job.
The first job.
Sits down with El Greco.
El Greco. Schrader off the chain.
I did a double take when I saw that man sitting in that restaurant, and had to Google whether that was him or not. In my Google history, top thing that pops up when I click the search bar, Paul Schrader, El Greco? Question mark, question mark, question mark.
The story behind this is Paul Schrader wanted different actors to play this role. He, I think I read number one was Martin Scorsese. They just didn't have the time / money to fly Scorsese in.
Martin Scorsese would have been great.
Oh, he would have been fantastic. But Schrader does a great job too as El Greco. I just love that he delivers this like almost best of movie performance in a way, just in the casual way.
It's a really casual, like compared to Nick's performance. At this point, it hasn't gone to Bogart, so it's not fully a disillusioned performance. It becomes really disconnected near the end of the film. But Schrader as El Greco and a handful of other characters feels so natural that it almost doesn't even seem like they're in a picture anymore.
No, it feels like he could step out of that club or bar at any moment, and I'd just be like, oh, it's El Greco.
Which is an interesting way to tell the story of these three guys they're separate not only in the fact that they're ex-convicts and they're separate from society, but they're all separate from their own story as well.
No, that's a good point. The job they have to do is they have to go to a drug dealer's stash and just take the stash, basically.
Take the stash and the money.
Right.
Yeah.
And so how they do it is by dressing up as cops. This is where an interesting, like the racial element really plays up.
Yeah.
Because
racial element as well as the
police brutality.
Angle. Yeah. The bodyguard of their target is a massive 300 and something pound. When they say bodyguard, they put it in quotations because he's really just the size of several men so that your body would be guarded behind him.
And they're like, there goes the suspension as he gets
into the car. There's actually a great dialogue that happens between the two where the one guy at the target is just kind of goes on a rant about his wife or baby mama or whoever, and just talking about how she's really gained weight as the relationship goes on. All she does is sit around eating chicken fingers. Going from the diner scene with Cage kind of being this black and white between him and Schrader, and the performance not feeling so real, to this car that it feels so genuine and authentic, and it really feels like it's been pulled out of almost a real conversation.
Oh yeah.
And the way the camera I made a note on the way the camera sits on the outside of the car, but it's so clear and the audio is so clear to the interior of the car that you can't help but feel like you're in the car, as opposed to other directors like Cuarón's kind of infamous interior car shot with the conversation in Children of Men. You know, that's great and all, but this one's almost more effective just seeing the dialogue go down in more or less one take with the car light and really no other setting lights or main lights to set up the shot.
And it's also a very, very good commentary on like racial shootings in America and how black people are pulled over by the police for basically nothing. And these people dressing up as cops, these stupid white guys, as I mentioned, they're pulling over these black people for no apparent reason.
They're pulling them up in terrible costumes.
Right.
They're pulling it up in a car with literally duct tape on the side in the shape of the police decal.
Yeah.
You know, all these things, it's just reinforcing this like stupid duality that shouldn't exist in the first place.
Yeah.
You know, we shouldn't be pitting police enforcement against people of color. Like, why does this even exist in the first place? And the fact that like we're forced to empathize with them, and not that that's a bad thing. The characters are really honest, but where are the cameras trained on them and them exclusively for almost, I think it's 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes, where we're just getting their conversation. So when they finally do get pulled over, we know exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And it's really painful.
It's really, really uncomfortable to watch.
Yeah.
And like one of them says, like, the police have a license to kill now, he basically says. So I think it's fascinating that Schrader puts this kind of commentary. He doesn't have to.
Yeah, no,
but,
it's a choice.
But it works there.
Yeah, that duality.
So they pull him over, they throw him into the cop car.
Yeah.
And then they go to his neighborhood. And as they take him out and they're basically arresting him and like they have a gun up to him as they're getting him up to the front door.
Yep, very publicly.
You hear people in the neighborhood being like, let him go.
Yeah.
Like, because they like, this is the norm for them.
Yeah. Yeah. They know exactly what's going on.
So they get the drugs. It's super incompetent how they do it.
Well, yeah, it's kind of an uncomfortable scene. The job comes across a lot easier than it maybe should have been, but I think there's reason for that. They just have to move the story along with some successes. They have to move on to the next job. So they go in the house. He says he doesn't know where the drugs or the money are. And then they see there's a headpiece on the fireplace.
Yeah.
If that's the right word. That's a fake. And so they kick it in and they realize the stash is in there. He doesn't know where the money is. And finally, they just give up on the money and say, well, you know, we have the drugs.
Because the people on the outside are throwing stuff in, and Mad Dog's outside with a shotgun warning them off. So it's just a situation that's going downhill.
Mad Dog is wanting to get out there and shoot people. I just kind of took a note. Is Mad Dog acts like a little psycho kid at this point where he's
absolutely.
like, you know, they're getting antsy out there. Just let me go out there and take a few pot shots.
Yeah.
And Diesel and Troy are like, no,
don't do it.
No, you're just gonna make shit worse. Don't do that.
They want him to stay on the chain.
yeah, literally. And I think they foreshadow to him losing control on the job in a really unique way.
But still, their incompetence is definitely on display. Like they get the job done.
Yeah, I was gonna say rewarded, but their incompetence is on display.
They do it really poorly.
Yeah.
So then we get this fun little drug montage, which I feel is very indebted to Requiem for a Dream.
Oh, 100%.
I think so much, like any drug montage nowadays steals from Requiem for a Dream quite liberally.
But it was so specifically digital and not like Requiem for a Dream takes advantage of all the opportunities film provides in its when
how film degrades.
It degrades in how it's easily messed up. Not tangibility. Shit, I'm having trouble with my words now. Anyways, they Requiem for a Dream really, I feel like, takes advantage of film's messiness.
Yeah.
In its own way, and the way, you know, they do the effects and all that. And I feel like Schrader, in a very digital sense, takes advantage of that. And you have the digital distortion happening. Like that's almost too self-referential to really be used that commonly in a film. Yeah, but he uses it really prevalently.
There's a lot of like overlaying images, like different
ink
opacities.
blotches again, solar flares.
Yep. And then Nick Cage, he's basically being the dad character again. He's like splitting up the money between the three of them and so on. And then he's bringing them out, you know, to the casino for just for fun.
Yeah.
So
and it's pretty hard cuts all the way around. Then they cut back to the next day for breakfast.
Not yet. They do like the conversations with the girls.
Oh,
first.
yes. Pardon me. That's the same day. Yeah.
So they go to the casino. This is where I kind of start digging the movie because it's doing a lot of character work.
Yep.
So Diesel picks up this girl at the bar in like less than 2 minutes. He gets angry about how they have to force him to have his drink on the rocks.
Yeah, I think he's just making that for small talk and to kind of break the ice. But
yeah, I don't like how he picks her up so quickly, and there's nothing to really attract her to him.
he's a big dude.
But that's it. There's nothing else. But
She feels up his arms. They're like, haha, alcohol bar. She says offhandedly, if you don't like the way he prepares your drink, why don't you rough him up a little?
yeah, so I think that there is kind of an edge to her character, just a little bit of an edge.
Yep.
Once again,
Pushing buttons. Is she a Sheila maybe?
maybe, well, not quite
No,
a
not
Sheila.
quite.
She doesn't have any spreadsheets. This character is played by Louisa Krause, who doesn't have that many roles. She's in a lot of indie movies. Let's just put it that
Fair
way.
enough.
I think she really takes this role and fleshes it out beyond what is written. She does. I
Yeah.
think she's pretty excellent in
Yeah.
it. Anyway, so then we have like these weird.
Sliding transitions.
Yes.
Oh, I wouldn't even say it was weird. There's one that goes immediately
Vertically.
from Diesel and that lady at the bar saying, Diesel's like, do you want to get out of here?
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, let's go. And then immediately slide transitions over to a shot of a masseuse on top of Mad Dog in a back room while we see Troy in the forefront.
Yes.
And he's getting a very aggressive massage, but at first it looks and sounds like they're having sex. So it's this hilarious transition that could not, in my mind, be any more creative.
Right.
It's a really good use of a sliding
It's a
transition.
good slide. I'll take. And then this is I kind of like this. This is another Cage character who, if you ask him like a question, he'll respond with a novel.
Like me again, yeah.
So he's got this prostitute in his room, and he's like, "So you like Nice?"
She's like, no, like tonight. What do you want to do?
Yeah.
You're paying me.
I think these scenes are really good because they reveal so much character about these guys in the way that they react to women.
Yeah, and it drives the characters forward for the rest of the story.
Exactly. Like Cage is very much the leader. He sees himself as the guy who's in charge of everything.
Mm-hmm.
He's the one who wants to move and bring her to Nice, even though he's just met her, which is kind of zany.
Well, and he wants her to form fit around his will. And
Yeah.
when that doesn't go through, he's angry about it. Like afterwards, he's like, I bought her this black Torpellini or whatever stone necklace. I found it on eBay today, and he's just so confounded about this. Like, she's just a prostitute, man. She's just doing her job, and she talks about how she's getting her headshots done, and she wants to get into the movie career because her gay roommate's going to be able to set up this or that, has connections, and he's ignoring all of that because he just wants her and wants her to exist within his world, and then take that forward to the end where his first reaction when confronted by a female cop is to just attack her.
Yeah.
When he doesn't really have to. And I feel like there's an interesting dialogue that's happening there that the initial go-to is to react way too harshly and overboard because it's a fearful thing.
It's also another example of how he views women as objects.
Yeah,
which
definitely.
they, like all three of them to a certain extent, objectify women. But this is the part where we get the intro to how Troy thinks that he's Humphrey Bogart. He tells a story about how an executive in prison.
Yeah.
It was like, you look like Humphrey Bogart with a stretched out face. Which he takes as a compliment, but
apparently
I
that was a real thing someone told him once.
Interesting.
That kind of took that inspiration.
And I guess I kind of see it.
Yeah, I mean, well, and so as they as she leads him into the bedroom, he says in passing, "I can be your Bogart and you can be my Dietrich."
Oh goodness. Yeah, and then we slide away from them, thankfully.
Back to Diesel. Yeah, who's just sitting very angrily, disappointed.
And the masseuse is like, relax.
No, sorry, that's not Diesel. You're right. Sorry, Mad Dog. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we go to Mad Dog first.
She's giving Mad Dog the happy ending. It's uncomfortable.
She's trying to. She's what's the term? Rubbing the rhubarb.
I'm leaving this circle of hell now to go to whatever one is better than this.
No. This is the furthest into hell you're going to get. Me saying rub your rhubarb.
It couldn't be worse. I saw Satan just hung himself in the corner because he couldn't take that joke. Yeah, she's commenting like, this is taking forever. Just relax. And he's like, I think I know how to do this.
And then she checks her phone.
She pulls out her phone. starts getting Facebook notifications, and that's when it just
snaps.
changes, and he freaks out, throws the money at her. She
Yells
doesn't
at
even
her to
pick it
go.
up. Yeah,
And
he puts on his red underwear.
And this is just kind of like you see how pathetic he really is as a human being.
Yeah, and I would argue his madness is kind of shielding that.
Yeah, no, he's definitely
Pathetic
using that
nature.
as a way to mask his insecurities.
Yeah, and now we cut to Diesel.
Diesel, I love this scene. This is one of the
So
best
intimate.
scenes in the
It's
movie.
So good.
It's very sweet. It's a super stark contrast to the other two scenes we get,
Sure.
which is two guys trying to control women. And here he is in a way, but he's giving her more agency than the other ones have.
Sure. Well, he's not being emotionally manipulative.
They're having a genuine conversation, which
Yeah.
is a big
Sitting in his
counterpoint to the other
hotel
two.
room.
But then he makes the assumption that she already knew that he was in prison based on something he said to her at the bar.
Yeah.
He was like, well, I thought you would have picked up on that from that.
Yeah, because she's prying him with all these questions.
Yeah.
And he even says, he's like, what's this fucking 20 questions? And she doesn't understand why. And that's when he freaks out and he says, you knew I was in prison. She says, I didn't.
Yeah.
She's uncomfortable now. And he says, no, you knew, because when we were down at the bar and you said to rough up the bartender, I said that wouldn't be a very smart move for my kind of
Right,
person.
right.
He said, you obviously knew.
Yeah.
He can't understand that people wouldn't be against him in that way.
And it also shows that maybe he's self-sabotaging in a way.
Yeah.
Like he's so far into himself that he can't have a normal relationship.
Mm-hmm.
He's broken.
Yeah, and so the scene kind of blows up.
Like he grabs her and she like tells him to let go.
Yeah.
And there's this beautiful moment where when he's walking down the hall,
Oh, where they're lit by red.
he walks into a red light and then he says, I'm not a violent person. And you can just see the contrast between what he says and what the mise en scène is saying about him. And that's just it. She walks away.
It's so beautiful.
The moment's over.
And it ends on him just stranded in that hallway illuminated by the red light, and I absolutely love it.
So then we get to breakfast the next morning.
Thank
where,
you.
Where Nick Cage once again is indulging in a good alcoholic beverage early in the morning. He's also wearing, I love what he's wearing in this scene. He's got like big sunglasses. He's got a suit and tie, and he's just hungover at breakfast.
Drinking a Bloody Mary, eating crunchily eating the celery. Yeah.
Such a good punctuation for the scene.
Yeah, I didn't really like this scene.
What?
Because the inspiration behind his character stemming from this, like, I want to play a Bogart. I want to be this guy who wants to be this classic character. He's playing the character so strongly. He's even putting this weird affectation on his voice.
It's only a little bit in this scene though.
It could be the very fact that he's wearing the sunglasses that just makes me feel like he's so disconnected. But it's such an honest scene when Mad Dog, takes his shoes off and is feeling the carpet with a foot.
And this is the crux of the whole scene.
And it's such a beautiful scene where he just says, like, guys, when was the last time you just took a moment to feel up the carpet? And he thinks back to prison and he says, when we were in our cells, all we had was the stone cold concrete. You couldn't take your shoes off.
But when they let you take your shoes off, all you would feel is the concrete with all the
Snot
nastiness
and jizz and all that nastiness over. And he said, sometimes I just like to take my shoes off and feel the carpet. It's
a really graceful moment in a way.
And it's really intimate. It's probably the closest the movie gets to a tearjerker.
And Defoe sells the moment so hard.
He really does.
We haven't really touched on how good Defoe is.
And I feel like everyone's performances balance Nick's out pretty well.
Yeah, because he once again is playing the straight man, and he and Defoe have a good like back and forth kind of energy.
And I mean, just as quickly as that scene starts up, it's over. It ends with Nick talking about how they want to get that third job in.
Right.
They want to get the job that basically sets them up for the rest of their life.
Yeah. So he goes back to a dark bar, basically, with El Greco, and this time Mr. Shepe.
Yeah, interesting character. Another really normal dude. Like him and Schrader are just sitting there shooting the shit, and Nick is more Bogart.
Yeah, well, he's not playing. Okay, so what?
It's over the top.
What Cage wanted to do was he wanted to like crank up the dial little by little,
and he did.
He does. I like it.
I'm saying I don't like it until the very end of the film.
I think it works in the middle of the film because it shows that he's kind of losing his marbles over the course of it because he's playing so deeply into this archetype that he thinks he's in that he slowly loses his grasp on reality, which kind of comes to full completion at the end.
El Greco has Shepe explain how basically they have someone that they want to intimidate and rough up a little bit.
Yeah, because he hasn't paid his dues to Shepe.
What he wants Nick and the gang to do is kidnap his baby mama's son, which I guess is his son. Math, it's great.
It's a complicated setup.
Yeah, it is. And they tell it in a very complicated way, but essentially he wants him to kidnap the baby, who's a baby. And at first Troy's like, we're not kidnapping kids. But he says, no, it's okay. I wouldn't make you kidnap the kid. He's not like 4 where it's going to scar him. It's a baby. And Nick is like, well, I mean, it's better. He's not going to remember. I was like, wait, what? That's not better.
No, baby napping. Okay, I just want to say,
how is it better?
On this podcast, we are against baby napping.
However, we are not against napping babies.
Napping babies are very good.
Baby napping, oh shit, no, because they're both, you can take it either way.
When babies are
kidnapping babies is wrong. Babies should always get their sleep.
They should have a lot of sleep.
They should have a lot of sleep, and if that means your baby needs to be napped, let it nap.
Let it do it. So they talked money, $500,000 plus a $250 feeler.
Yeah.
And then I think a portion of the ransom money as well.
Yeah. Troy's line is, well, if you keep throwing around $250,000 like that, I'm going to have to do whatever it is you say.
Basically.
And then it goes into his voiceover, which is kidnapping is a dirty business. And as soon as he says the word kidnapping, Nick does this weird eyebrow curl. And I was like, okay, fuck this.
I'll be honest, I missed that moment.
It was just such a weird, blatant, like, with the eyebrow. And the voiceover kicks in right there that I was like, all right.
But right before El Greco says, you a wine connoisseur, Mr. Shepe?
It pans out with him lifting his arms like the Christ.
Yes.
And we have Schrader on his right, and we have Shepe on his left, and we dolly back from this beautifully set up, almost like the last dinner scene, except with only 3 people instead of 12.
So then they go back to the stripper joint where
we're in the after hours now.
Oh yeah,
they walked into the stripper joint, and there's a stripper by the pool. I just thought that was so funny with a Lysol wipe and a box of wipes. She's just cleaning down the pole. That's something that is the first. This was the first time it ever came to mind. It's like, oh yeah, the pools probably get really dirty. It's probably really gross.
So they go upstairs into kind of a secluded room. I really love the blocking of this scene and the way the camera shows them in relation to each other.
Yeah.
Because this is kind of a scene where we see the dynamics between the 3 characters. So Troy is suggesting this. And at first they're both Mad Dog and Diesel are very much, like they say, like, baby napping, that's not very good.
But I like that Troy's character, he's so fatherly, maybe not fatherly. He's like a big brother in that he's looking out for them. He's saying, I don't want us to not be 100% on this. Because this is, I'm not gonna beat around the bush. This is risky. Doing this is a big risk. And so with that in mind, we need to be 100%. Because if shit goes wrong, we got to go samurai style.
Everyone's got to go down together.
Yeah.
And Diesel raises the point, like baby nappings, things like this. You never hear about the people who don't get caught.
Yeah. It's basically, this isn't a Hollywood movie.
Yeah, which is kind of ironic because they all look at it as kind of their own Hollywood movie.
Oh, definitely. Troy most of all.
Oh, yeah. But then Mad Dog has this great little bit where he says, like, maybe you don't hear about all those because they've run to Hawaii and they're living happily. So that's why you don't hear about the happy endings, which is such a delusional phrase.
And of course it's coming from Mad Dog.
Yeah, he really wants to find his own happy ending. This is, again, his search for redemption. So he feels that if he can pull this off and get enough money to start from within his means, then he can be a good person after that.
Yeah.
But we all know that that's definitely not going to happen.
Defoe really lets it shine. Like, he's a very expressive guy, a lot like Nicolas Cage, but even more so the lines in his face, the creases, they give such good, they're literally leading lines for his emotions.
Yes.
And when he's saying this stuff, his eyebrows are curled and he's looking so longingly. And he's basically pleading, why is this the ending that we couldn't have? And even when he's asking this, we already know how it's going to go down.
Yeah, we know that things have to go wrong because, this is that kind of movie where nothing is going to go right. They decide then, another point, it's just funny that they're having this conversation about hope in a strip club.
Yeah, it is.
I wrote here, Nick Cage have dad energy? ?
That's always a yes, no matter the film he's in, 100%.
So we see the setup for this when we have, I think his name is Brennan on the phone. He's driving, he's on the phone. So Brennan and the baby mama, they each have like a side person. Brennan's idea is he's going to go to his house
and rough that side dick up.
Basically, yeah. So meanwhile, we've got our 3 friends who are going there to kidnap the baby.
Yeah.
So it took me until my second viewing to figure out like what exactly was going on there.
We've got the 2 shots, and they're not even mirrored. They're paralleling each other perfectly, where it's Troy and the group that are driving up in the car, and then framed the exact same way, headed the same like lateral direction to the right is Brennan. Who we don't know at the time. He's on the phone. He's kind of telling what he's going to do before we realize what it is he's trying to do.
Yeah.
They're both driving the same direction. He arrives at the house first, puts a gun down on the table, and then just puts his head down and waits.
Yep. So we've got that going on. Then the others arrive.
But I agree. It's a little convoluted.
I didn't get it at first. I just wasn't listening closely enough because I kind of checked out when I first watched
Fair
it.
Fair enough.
So we've already established that they're not perfect at doing things like this. So they go upstairs to the baby's room.
They walk into the room. They're tiptoeing in. And then Brennan walks in. But they don't know it's Brennan.
Yeah.
He flips on the lights, holding the gun, not even pointing at them, and says, "Oh, you guys are so fucked." And that's when Mad Dog turns around and without any hesitation blows his head clean off. And we get a shot, like a medium close up from behind Brennan.
Oh, man.
So his head explodes into the camera, and all you hear is Troy, "Bad dog."
And the way you said it, he's got such disappointment. It's just like, bad dog.
It's so good. And then it's just back on clock where they're like, all right, so there's a dead guy over there.
Yeah.
Nanny wakes up.
Nanny's
Baby starts
freaking out.
crying. Troy picks up the baby. He's like, just make it shut up.
He's like, Troy says, "What's that thing you put in the baby's mouth?" Willem Dafoe.
I really hope this was improv because it was such a good line.
This is an improv. Willem Dafoe goes, "Dick."
And then Cage just looks at him with an eyebrow raise.
It goes, "No." So,
that's it. The movie's done.
this is the like the apex of the movie.
Okay,
almost.
we got to keep moving.
Let's
forward.
truck through this.
And this is where everything starts.
Okay,
to go
so they take the baby.
They don't have a baby seat, which is another the nanny. They take him towards the Escalade or the Land Rover that's in the parking lot, and the nanny says, "Where's the baby seat?" And they're like, "Fuck the baby seat, we forgot about it."
They bring her to like this place. They lock her up.
Yep.
And as they're like telling her to stay put and not to do anything, this is where I really caught the bogey thing because Troy says, "Because we got people outside, you see."
Yeah,
which is like a super bogey kind of
big time
way to say it.
Yeah.
Then we've got the 2 separate threads. We got one is Cage or Troy
following up on the end of the heist.
Yep. So he goes to a store and he gets a payphone or a burner phone to call El Greco, and then it turns out that they shot Brennan, and he's like, "What?"
And the Greco's just like, "I don't know if I'm gonna be able to pay you, man. Like, you killed Brennan."
And as he's walking across the street, a car like almost hits him, and he just like hits the car and like points his finger like behind him. So then they decide to meet at 9, make it 10 at Captain Taco's. Amazing. No better place to meet.
So good. Meanwhile, Mad Dog and Diesel are bundling up Brennan's body.
Yeah, they go to to a club again to have some coke because as Mad Dog puts it, everyone self-medicates.
Everyone's got their own fucked upness. It's a great short monologue that he does to justify.
Yeah, so basically they stop in, they have the cocaine. Mad Dog has the cocaine.
Yeah.
They drive out to this sequestered lighthouse, I think it is, where Mad Dog put the bodies of Sheila and her daughter.
I don't think it's a lighthouse. I think it's just a farmhouse.
Just a farmhouse?
Yeah.
He must have put a bunch of dead bodies there, which we will get to. On their way there, they have what I found to be a pretty touching back and forth.
Yeah.
Because Mad Dog is being like, you and Troy, you've always been close friends.
You always had this good thing going.
And it shows how deep his sadness and brokenness goes. This is where you start to kind of empathize with him, even though you know he's a bad guy.
And you know he's just fucked up.
Yeah, the car. Oh, the lighting in that car scene. There's like 2 or 3 setups behind them, looking at their profile from the seat behind them, and just the way the light just ever so gently touches the outline of their face. Is beautiful.
It's really gentle.
Mad Dog asks for help from Diesel to get his life back together. I think it's kind of interesting that Diesel agrees. He says yes because Mad Dog has always been a very honest person.
Well, you think about Diesel. Diesel's a simple guy. He's a very smart guy, but he's a very simple guy. And coming from prison, the only thing that can really separate you from another person, if you're not a racist, is have they stabbed you in the back, have they lied to you, and have they taken advantage of you? Yeah,
basically.
And when he posits to Mad Dog that he's never done any of those 3.
Yeah.
And that he's relatively good on the job, too. He's never really fucked it up until now that they just haven't realized it.
But it's also interesting because we know that Diesel himself has his own issues.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that he is going to help Mad Dog when he himself needs help.
Sure.
That's just my thought.
I feel like it alludes to the fact that was never meant to work out in the first place, that it's Diesel is the one that Mad Dog is looking to for that help and kind of confirmation and betterment, because Diesel's the one that turns around and ends his life. It shows just how low that threshold is.
Yeah, I don't know if Diesel thinks he can actually help Mad Dog, because Mad Dog asks, do you think people can change?
Sure.
And then Diesel's response is, you got a spot? He completely ignores the question.
Yeah.
When Mad Dog mentions that the daughter is there as well, you just see Diesel's face like drop a little bit more.
Yeah, he just kind of looks
Oof.
away. Yeah. So they get her to the car, they drag the body out, and it's a pretty realistic image of how heavy a human body is. It takes these 2 guys to, drag it around. But as they drag it through, Diesel just kind of remarks how disgusting it is, and he doesn't want to take it any further than basically the front door.
Yeah.
Because Mad Dog had a lock for the door, and it wasn't a problem. But Mad Dog just says, if we're going to do this, we're going to do it right. We just want to make sure if someone comes in, they're not going to get any further because there's just no possibility of them finding the body. But Diesel's like, this is disgusting. It's a dirty place. And Mad Dog's response is the most analytical thing ever. He's like, these decomposing ecosystems are safest because they're bent and they're focused on their own self-destruction, not yours. So it's all targeted inwards. And it's such a beautiful microcosm in that moment for the movie in general. And like the destruction of each other, and even the way the movie ends on Troy wanting to go through this Bogart but villain way of going out the way he wants to go out.
As they're carrying the body up the stairs, Mad Dog just keeps on being like, I believe in redemption.
And he just keeps going. It's just, it becomes a monologue.
He talks about how it's rough going, but you have to take baby steps. Yeah. And then they get to the top. They're trying to place the body.
Yeah.
And they just fall through.
Well, but as they're going, it's a long shot on Mad Dog trying to hoist up the body kind of half-heartedly because he's in the middle of this monologue talking about wanting to better himself. And you can see the rotting bodies of Sheila and her daughter at the top. And as Diesel kind of works his way into frame, it's a pretty tight shot. You realize he's like breathing hard and he's holding back vomiting. Even though you can't see his face, you can hear him gasping. And you realize the whole time Mad Dog has been doing this monologue, it's like he couldn't even care less about the rotting corpses at the top of the stairs. And for me, that was the moment. He is fucking crazy.
He's insane in this moment.
And this is the perfect discussion of that. They manage to get the body to the top of the stairs, and as soon as they do, the floor gives out and they fall to the floor lower beneath them.
Yep. But it's more than just Sheila and her daughter. There's like a bunch of bodies.
I think it's just Sheila and her daughter.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Well, and then there's the third body.
It looked like more to me. You're right. So then Diesel is fed up. He gets so angry at Mad Dog.
Mad Dog's still doing his monologue, by the way.
But now he sees that Diesel is not messing anymore.
Yeah, you're right.
His crying face before he gets shot is
man.
Such precise acting.
Yeah.
The way that he turns his eyebrows up and the pleading look on his face, it's such tragedy.
His performance in Spider-Man as Osborn is really kind of along the same strand. It's such a beautiful, emotive role that he's playing, and the way he's acting as Osborn's 2 personalities.
So then we're kind of heading toward the climax now.
Yeah.
So Diesel heads back, meets up with Troy, And they go to a grocery store because Diesel wants to pick up a few things.
Troy's sitting in the car reading GQ magazine
GQ,
with Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift, what do you know?
Looking real great.
And then Diesel just has, he's got a concealed firearm in his back pocket. As he reaches over to grab meat, the middle manager guy just kind of like looks at it. He's like, oh.
And this is where it starts to fall apart.
Oh, yeah.
Diesel says he has to just to go to pick some stuff up from the shopping mart. Why would you do that?
I don't know, but I think it's poetic justice that it's such a mundane way for the whole thing to fall apart.
Fair enough. And it's funny that in that position, a convict would not be unused to people in a shopping mart being uncomfortable with them, if they were covered in tattoos or anything like that. In this case, it's because he's got a firearm and he just happens to be a convict. Schrader isn't letting them be defined by the fact that they were convicts. He's defining them by the decisions they're making in the moment.
Yeah, but they make some pretty bad decisions.
Of course.
Because the cops show up. One of them goes over to the car where Troy's sitting.
Yeah,
the other one goes
to
in
the meat section.
So the female cop who goes to Troy's car, does the classic license
and registration, please. Yeah, whatever.
She asks him to step out of the car after a minute because he's got quote unquote expired, plates or whatever.
Yeah.
So he goes out and then he's like, "Can I just get my jacket first? It's cold."
And this is, can I be honest? I can't understand it. Why doesn't he reach down to grab the gun and shoot her in the face?
I don't know. I'm not sure, but he does whack her in the face with his hand.
Clean punch.
I found this deeply uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Maybe just.
Yeah.
I don't want to you can have scenes where women are hit or whatever.
But this is.
It feels a bit gratuitous in the way that the slow motion captures him punching her on the ground. It feels a little gratuitous. But with the
character.
I know.
I'm not justifying it.
Oh no, I think the way it's shot, you can have that scene play out and it de-glamorizes the violence. The slow motion especially just really irks me.
Yeah, I hear that.
The officer yells stop at Diesel. Diesel's like surprised and then shoots back.
And then just goes running. Nick is a good runner, man.
He is.
He does so much running in his movies.
But then there's the shot where the police officer tries to shoot Diesel. Misses, and then we get the shot of the bullet going in and hitting someone in the arm. It's funny in thought. I just rolled my eyes.
That reminded me of something the Coens would do.
But then it quickly fades to a black heart. We pull out and it's Diesel's heart.
Yeah.
So he's off the deep end now.
At this point, the adrenaline's going and he's just out for blood.
He's got a very nicely shot
chase scene.
Yeah. Over the soundtrack, we get this repetition of Troy's we go at samurai style. Which I like that.
A sheriff's Escalade pulls up, and that's when a sheriff gets out and tries to shoot him. He misses, so he turns around and shoots him.
Right.
And then he gets in the SUV and pulls out and drives away, and that's when the chase starts.
Yep. So then he crashes the car, glass flies everywhere.
Yeah.
That's kind of his end.
Yeah.
We jump to a scene at night. Troy is captured, and we get this moment, which
I think most people call it arrested.
Well, okay, fine. Same
He's
thing.
pinned on the ground.
These two officers are really angry at him for, shooting a cop. They tie him up behind the car and he gets dragged. And I think Cage has such a weird, dazed performance.
Yeah.
In this moment.
It's a very film noir shot.
Yes, which bleeds into the next scene.
Very much so.
So this epilogue is incredible.
I love it.
Say what you will about the first hour, 20 minutes. I loved the last 10 minutes of this movie.
It's wild. Now, I think you should explain what goes into it a little bit.
Okay. So they were going to shoot this scene and Nick he went up to Schrader. He said, I don't know how to play this scene.
For the first time in history, Nick doesn't know how to play character. Imagine.
So Schrader, who I guess just loves to have how about the ending? The characters may be dead.
Does exactly that.
He's like, well,
what if he's dead in the end?
What if he's dead? And so Nick Cage is like, well, if he's dead, then he's going to be Humphrey Bogart. So
then I got to go full Bogart.
So Schrader, who was kind of against the whole Bogart leaning, was like, I guess so.
If you think it's right, I guess.
So this entire sequence is Nick Cage doing a bad Humphrey Bogart impression. I don't think the voice is not perfectly accurate, but he nails the spirit of the character.
100%. And that's all that's important. It's not that he has to channel Humphrey Bogart's spirit and sound exactly like him. It's just that he has to capture the mood in the way the character sees it.
Yeah.
I see this post-death scene as Troy getting the wish that he wanted, which was to go out Bogart style.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even though Bogart doesn't really play the villain, but to go a Bogart style,
He's imagining the kind of Hollywood ending that glamorizes how a gangster or a criminal might actually die.
He just dies being pulled behind a car.
Yeah, that's what we should intuit from that, because there's like a...
I mean, come on.
So there's this black couple in a diner, and they're watching news footage of the chase and about how there's an officer dead.
Same officer that was killed in the parking lot.
They go out into their cars, and then Cage, Troy, is just kind of there. And he goes, "You look like the sort of gent who may have a..." I can't do it.
You look like the sort of gent that might have a pistol in the glove compartment of his car, see? How would you pass that over to me, see? I'm pretty sure I can just improv most of his lines and get them probably right.
Absolutely. The music here is wonderfully ethereal.
It's so good. Honestly, this reminded me of some David Lynch shit.
Yes.
So clearly.
So David Lynch always uses Americana imagery to create this sense of foreboding.
Yeah.
Here, the image of this diner and this car and this couple, it's very Americana.
Yeah.
And then Lynch, another staple of his work, is these driving shots in complete darkness where you only see the headlights
and the car.
And Lynch uses that beautifully.
And the music even.
Yes.
The music is so, Troy says, like, got anything for the music? See?
The saxophone soundtrack, David Lynch loves.
We only got spirituals and choir stuff. He's like, oh, I love me a good spiritual, see?
So this feels...
I'm just going to say see after everything.
Do it. This feels like a very Bonnie and Clyde moment where he is Bonnie and Clyde. He tells them everything's going to be fine if you do what I say, but that's definitely not the case. He's lying to them.
Do you think he's lying to them? I think in his mind, he's the good guy and he wants them to be safe. And then when the cops come, he separates himself from the car and the cops still shoot the car. Even in Troy's death, Schrader's still trying to make a comment.
So let's go through this step by step.
Okay.
So all of a sudden he's driving the car and he's going through fog, like a really, really deep fog.
Yeah, I love me some fog.
And then all of a sudden, red flash, blue flash outside. The cops are there.
And it illuminates the whole screen. That's that beautiful limbo imagery, my dude. Every time I see fog, all I can think is that beautiful limbo imagery.
We have this excellent match fade from his eyes in the rearview mirror. It fades into a shot of the police cars approaching, the headlights, which are superimposed over his eyes. What happens is he pulls the car over. He gets out of the car. The cops get out of the car.
Which I just want to point out, him getting out of the car is in some ways an act of him trying to protect them. He's separating himself from the couple.
He says, "Is there a problem, officer? I'm kind of lost with the Reverend and the Missus." And then he says, "Don't point that thing at us." He's in front of these cops. He's got his hands up.
Yeah.
We've got this beautiful flashing. I love the lighting here.
There's just the silhouette of a police officer standing in front of the lights.
He looks into the backseat of the car through the window.
Yeah.
He sees the scared couple there. He looks over and then he makes a distinct decision not to save them.
You think so?
Yeah.
I think he knows he's going out and he's going to separate himself because at the moment of them being shot up, he looks over with a look of what seems to be sadness and regret.
Yep. In my eyes, he's looking over at them and he's making a decision. He can either give himself up and allow them to be safe, or he can do what he decides to do. He raises the gun up and starts shooting. Whatever the cops do in response, they're a target now, so they have to shoot him. And they don't know that the black couple is in the back of the car. Well, they kind of do.
Yeah, they definitely do.
He holds up the gun. He actually takes a look over at the couple.
Yep.
He looks back.
And then he moves.
Then he starts shooting.
No, then he moves.
No.
He moves first and then he starts shooting. See, I'm going to have to agree with what you're saying. And I like that there's some agreement because I think it's good. I genuinely think it's a move of him separating the two so that he, in his last moments of fictitious storytelling, can give him one last moment of like glory and this weird hint of selfish morality where he can say, no, I did my best to separate the two. Even though I knew it was the end for them, I still did my best to protect them as much as I could, you know?
That's a fascinating read on it because I read it basically the opposite way.
I know.
I see it as he has this chance of redemption because he sees like it's a Christian couple in a car with a spiritual plane.
Yeah.
and he can choose either to give himself up to the officers. He can put down the gun.
No, there's no way he would give himself up. That's right off the cards.
No, but he could.
Sure.
He could give himself up and put down the gun and then say that's it.
Sure.
Or he can decide
to go out like the villain he wants
of glory.
Yeah. Yeah.
And whether or not he moves away from the car doesn't matter. He seals their fate by shooting back.
Fair enough. And I'm not going to say that the end isn't defined by that moment, but what I think drives that decision for him to separate is a moment of selfish moral judgment to be the better man and try to save them, because he knows he's going to die. He knows he's going to be shot out.
Yeah.
He still selfishly wants that moment of glory shooting the cops. I think he realizes the weight of kind of his involvement and decides it's the first time where he separates himself from the couple physically.
But then he explains in the voiceover what he's thinking. He says, justice, that was what I wanted. Then I started thinking I didn't want justice. I just wanted what I wanted, just like everyone else. And the rest of it was verbiage. So he's a selfish character. He wants what he wants, which is his story to end in this blaze of glory.
I agree, but I think whether or not the couple gets caught in the crossfire isn't the decision he makes. I think he makes the decision to try to keep it to just him. And there's that play over to the black couple just getting absolutely obliterated in the car also, which is another note of the police brutality and the racial prejudice and all this jazz rolling into kind of one group. That's a nice microcosm of all those themes, literally the themes of the whole movie boiling down into the last 15 minutes of the movie.
Well, either way, whatever the ending can be read as.
I think it's fascinating that we disagree.
Oh, yeah. I love it that we're disagreeing.
Yeah, I think that's good.
One of my favorite film critics, Richard Brody, who has a very kind of esoteric writing style.
Yeah.
He says of the ending, suffice it to say that the movie reaches a metaphysical crescendo in an ending that, in its imaginative and visionary audacity, is one of the greatest in recent movies.
I didn't like Nick as Bogart, but this last end where he plays Bogart, I thought it was good.
Off the chain.
And I don't think we could end the podcast on a better note, if I'm honest.
No.
Do you have anything else you want to add?
I don't like this movie very much. I think it's fascinating. I think Cage gives a very subdued performance.
Yeah.
Once again, he's playing the father figure. He's the one who has the responsibility.
Yeah.
And he does have a few moments where he does kind of go off the chain, as it were.
Sure.
And I personally think his Bogart ramping up works for me.
Okay.
I think it's a very distinctive choice, and Nicolas Cage is an actor who always makes a distinctive choice.
I agree. It is a distinctive choice.
But in the end, I think that the way that Schrader and co put it all together, just like let's just do what we want. Let's just try and make this like a postmodern movie.
Yeah.
I think it works in that it's interesting. I think it doesn't work in that it's not cohesive.
Yeah, it's experimental, but not to a rewarding enough degree that it manufactures the quality.
And while it's supposed to be a comedy, I think that Cage's performance doesn't quite lend to the ridiculousness that should make it funny,
and the honesty of the other two characters played to the other side of the field, and between those two is not the comedy that you'd expect or want.
I think it's somewhat effective in certain points. On a moment-to-moment level, there are a lot of surface pleasures to be had, especially from the cinematography and a lot of the editing. We didn't even talk about the, like, right after Mad Dog gets shot, there's that insert of them having, like, an underwear party. Spraying ketchup and mustard at
as
each
they
other.
nostalgically look back over the phone call of Diesel telling Nick that he died.
It's so funny that that's what they're nostalgic about. So what kind of Cage do we have in this movie?
I already said it was Bogart.
We have a Bogart Cage.
Yeah.
There you have it.
Yeah. Like you say, it's a distinctive stylistic approach. And whether or not I like it, that's who he is. He's not just Nicolas Cage, see? He's a Bogart.
I think it's fitting that a movie about broken characters looking for redemption that they will never have
is such a broken film.
Is a broken film.
I like it. My liking it is not equated to whether it works or whether it doesn't. Because I think it's ballsy. And I think Schrader's like a very ballsy filmmaker.
For sure.
And I really admire that approach. And I think in some ways, if it ain't broke, break it. Because when you look at First Reformed, when you look at the reward of this flexible experimentation, to me, it all the more proves the necessity of that experimentation.
Yeah.
But that doesn't necessarily correlate to quality. I think that movies that aren't good but do something are important to talk about. because in those successes or failures, there's more to be learned about than just a quote unquote good movie.
Yeah. Definitely one of the more unique entries into Nicolas Cage's filmography,
Hell
especially in an era where he takes a bunch of generic roles. This one is not generic
Not at all. Not at all.
Thank you for listening to Cut the Chit Chat. We hope you've gleaned something from our divisive discussion of Dog Eat Dog. Feel free to rate and review our podcast and subscribe for your weekly dose of Cage. You can follow us on Twitter at CTCCpod, and we'd love to hear your thoughts on Dog Eat Dog. Just email us at ctccpod@gmail.com. Next week, we'll be talking about the 2004 action film National Treasure, and we will once again ask the immortal question. Why is Nicolas Cage?
We cut the chit chat a-hole.
Oh man, I have to show you these pictures I stumbled across yesterday on Twitter. Pictures of a young Willem Dafoe.
I've seen a young Willem Dafoe. He's a beautiful man.
Have you seen these pictures though?
Is he naked? Probably
No.
not.
Look at that guy.
Oh, holy shit.
Scroll one over.
Holy shit.
Look at that guy.
Holy shit.
That's just
Is
like,
he wearing eyeliner?
I don't know, but that's just like,
That's a fucking golden mane of hair. I mean, he's still got a good head of hair, but this is like next fucking level.
he's like a young little knockout.
Oh, there's a naked one. Were you saving that? Oh, that's in the hidden folder. Sorry. I'm